we do a market research project, what we do, you really have kind of two sets of data, implicit and explicit data. The explicit data is stuff that you can find publicly, and we use that in the latest tools. So an example here, if somebody said, hey, I want you to go in and do drilling, look at drilling automation as an example, what we'll do is we'll say, okay, using well licensed data, we'll pick an area or a play. So here happens to be the Deep Basin play in Western Canada, and then we'll come in and we'll say, give us a list of all the accounts that have drilled wells in that particular area over a period of time, and then we can come in and we can build a list and we can see who's drilling the most and so on and so forth. You can find some other information, pretty basic, that comes from drilling. What is it that they're drilling for? What terminating zone are they going into? So on and so forth. So again, this is all explicit data. We're collecting it from the regulatory bodies and then putting it into an analytics tool like Salesforce.com and using geopoint mapping to help us analyze that information. When we want to drill down into this data and you want to look at, say, something specific around drilling automation, that is definitely not being provided by the public data sources. So that is what they call the implied data, and we need to look at some other tools. So our methodology is pretty simple. So when we look at it, we could come in and I can say, well, we know that public companies in this area are going to have more data for us to take a look at. And the bigger the public company, the better it's going to be. You can tell by maybe how many wells they're drilling, roughly how big they are. So in this case, I'm like, okay, here's the ticker symbol TOU. We look in and we see it's tourmaline. Then what I do, I go to the website Tourmaline, and then we can go in and we can take a look at the investor presentation, some of the press releases that they've had. And in this case, now we're into and we're looking for this explicit data, the implicit data, the implied data, and we know that we're talking about drilling. Pretty simple, we do a keyword search. So tourmaline is the forefront of multi-well pad drilling. So reducing the surface impact. So we'll collect this data, put it in the database, as part of the information that we've collected there. And then tourmaline is expanding a use of CNG drilling, use of CNG for drilling, reducing diesel usage. So I think that's Canadian natural gas. We do a little bit of a keyword search. Okay, what is that all about? Let me see, replacing diesel in tourmaline's drilling and completions operations with natural gas. So we start to see a theme here in their investor presentations, reducing footprint and then reducing the use of diesel with natural gas. So now we come into a legitimate question that we could come back to some key people within Tourmaline to say, what role does drilling automation play as it relates to reducing your footprint and converting from diesel to natural gas? And then at that particular point, we go into the account record. Here's LinkedIn, and we can take a look at our LinkedIn profile. And I say, hey, let's find everybody there within Tourmaline, and that has a responsibility from a drilling perspective. We're looking at people here that have quite a few connections. We want to find people that are relatively social. So here's 39 connections. Now I've got a quick questionnaire. What we do is we gather all these contacts and then we send out a blanket email to 4 or 5 of the contacts saying, hey, I have a question for you. I'm doing market research related to the use of automation in drilling and wondering what role, I read your press release and wondering what role automation plays in the conversion of diesel to natural gas. And then at that particular point, we look for getting some response. We put that into our database, and then we move on to our next prospect in our list here. And in this case, we look at Peyto. So we look at our ticker symbol PEY. Again, we know that's Peyto. We go to the website, go through the exact same process, quickly putting all that data into a database so we can export it and then give it to our customer to evaluate both the information that we get explicitly, how many wells they're drilling and what area they're drilling into. Implicitly, what does it say from their reports related to drilling automation, and then the feedback that we're getting from the customers. And so that'd be an example of our methodology to do market research for drilling automation.